Philippines, from the Philippines to Boston, from Park Avenue to Park Bench, from Yale to jail. But anyway, I left Boston, Massachusetts. I think it was like October 5th, October 30th, thereabouts. And I fly to Long Beach, California. And I stayed up all night because one thing led to another. I didn't know if the flight would be canceled, what time I would get in, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I spent the night up at like a Denny's or something. And then I finally got on the cruise ship, headed to across the Pacific Ocean with a Carnival Cruise Line. It was a terrific ship, and I had a wonderful time. No complaints. Everything was beautiful. So it goes. I get on the ship in Long Beach, and I think our first stop was Guam, and then Hawaii, and then Malaysia. Now there's two Malaysias. There's the capital, I guess, is Kuala Lumpur. That's a completely different part of Malaysia. And then if you look on the map, to the right and down below, there's another Malaysia. And there's a port there called Kuala Lumpur. No, not Kuala Lumpur. Kuku Cabana. I think they call it KK. Kuku Cabana. Kuku Cabana, KK, whatever it is. So I went there for a day, here for a day. And we go to Hawaii, Guam, Copacabana, and Vietnam. Oh, I was at Vietnam. I enjoyed that. But I was outside of Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon. And I grew up during the Vietnam War era. And I would have liked to have gone into Saigon, but it's like 3-4 hours from the port. And it's just too much. They want to take you there in a bus, 3-4 hours there. And then they bring you for lunch. They give you a little tour around town. And then it's 3-4 hours back on the bus. So I passed. And if I remember correctly, then I went to Singapore. We get off in Singapore, and I spent about a week in Singapore, maybe 10 days. And Singapore was lovely. I used the public transportation system. I used the rails, the trains, the buses. And it was the most sophisticated system I've ever seen in my life. And it's super clean, super clean. Singapore is wonderful. I highly recommend it. And from there, I took a luxury bus with bus attendants, very pretty women, Asian women, and they will give you anything you want, any drink you want, any food, sandwich, snack, all included in the price, with cell phone service, all the luxuries. And I got off the bus in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to visit my daughter. My daughter's husband is with the Department of Defense. Oh, excuse me, Department of State. And they travel the world. Every 2 years, the State Department gives them another assignment. And they travel the world. So last trip I went and I visited them in Vienna, Austria. And I visit them now in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And then from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I got on a plane that took me to Cebu, Mactan Island in Cebu. And I take a bus. I got on a bus. I was very brave. Outside the airport was a bus. And I get on a bus, and it takes me to downtown Cebu, which I researched, and I stayed at the MJ Hotel, which is very nice. Mention my name if you go there. They'll take extra good care of you, I promise. But anyway, and I spent about a month in Cebu, and I traveled to Panglo Island and the island of Bohol. I also went to Malboal in Cebu, the beach in Malboal, Cebu, and then I went back to Cebu City. From Cebu City, I took a bus to Dumaguete. Well, the bus ride through the jungle was about 5-6 hours, and it's a combination bus ride and ferry. They bring you to the lower tip, the southern tip of Cebu, and then you take a ferry over to Dumaguete, and I believe they let you out there. And then I also found a hotel in Cebu, and I went and I stayed at the hotel in Dumaguete, and I went and stayed at the hotel in Dumaguete. And then, little by little, I learned my way around Dumaguete. I got brave enough, and I rented a motor scooter. A month at a, oh, I think a day at a time. Originally, I did a day at a time. I was so frightened. I wanted to see what the heck is going on. So I rented a scooter in Valencia one day at a time. I think it was about $4 for the day, 200 or 300 pesos. It's like $4 or $6 for the day. I didn't want to drive it in the city, so I went to the mountain and I rented it. I figured if I fall down, there won't be any cars. Less of a chance to hit a car. So I just rent the scooter for the day and travel the mountain. And I also got a little braver, and I got hooked up with a tour guide, a tricycle driver that I knew. I asked him if he could tour me around the mountains, and he has a motorcycle too, or it's his brother's motorcycle, and we met, and he showed me all the mountains together, and we toured around the mountains together, and he only charged me like, $5, $6, $8, and he asked me if I'd buy him lunch. I said, sure, I'll buy you lunch. So time went on, and I got braver and braver and braver, and I was renting a scooter for a month at a time. It was like $80 a month. And I said, this is crazy. If I'm going to stay here, I like it here, I got to make another move. I got to make the next step. So I went, and I know the scooters are cheap. So I go to Rusi Motorcycles. It's the Philippine brand. They're all over the Philippines. Forget Honda, forget all the Yamahas. You'll pay double, triple the price. Rusi is good. It may not have the fanciest chrome and all the fixings, but I paid $720 American. Can you believe that? A motorcycle, a scooter for $720. Now, when you go to buy these things, you ask questions, but they barely speak English. They don't know what you're talking about. But from what I could tell, I was buying a 5-speed with a shift and a clutch, because I had motorcycles as a kid, and that's how I was brought up, with a clutch and 5 gears, 4 or 5 gears, and I sat on it, and everything was fine. So I buy it, I go to buy it, and they tell me I have to sign that they won't be responsible, that I should avoid the checkpoints. They want me to avoid the checkpoints, because if I get pulled over by a checkpoint, I'm driving an unregistered motorcycle. And I tell them, forget it, I'm not going to agree to this. And I said, well, when am I going to get my registration? They tell me, you're going to get registered in about 6 months. I said, so I'm not going to be able to drive this legally for 6 months? I said, give me back my money. And naturally, they don't want to give me back my money. So I had to insist and try to be as nice as I could and let them understand that I'm not signing, that I'm relieving them of our responsibility. They're telling me to avoid, in the contract it says avoid the checkpoints, avoid the police checkpoints. But anyway, they gave me back my money, and I researched a little more. I guess I cooled down, it's all new. They tell you to sign something. And I go around, I ask people, and I guess that's what everyone does here. They buy them, they put a plate that says the motorcycle dealer's plate, and apparently the police don't enforce it. So I went back, and I said, okay, I'll take, a week or two later, I said, okay, here's my money, sign me up. She says, you sure you're going to take it this time? I said, yeah, I'm taking it. Give me the silly form to sign. So I sign it, I get it, wonderful. Now, next story. I get the scooter, and I think it's a little too big for me. Maybe just a couple inches. So then I said, can I get a lower shock? Lower shock. Can you lower it? There's adjustments to lower it. So they said, yes, we can lower it. So they adjust it. And it's lower. And then I said, can I change the shock in the back? I mean, it's high in the back. You have a smaller shock. And they say, yes, sir. So they give me a lower shock. And it must have cost less than $40 or $50 for that extra shock. But it was so much better. They don't tell you don't tell you what size or you got to figure all this stuff out on your own. So now I've had the scooter almost a year now, maybe over a year, and it was for about less than $800. I've been having a great time. I got transportation, but you got to be careful, guys, girls, whoever you come here. There's tons and tons of accidents here. There really is. The foreigners come here and the local people also, and there's a lot of motorcycle accidents. They drink and they drive at night, forget about it. The Philippine people think if you keep your lights off on your motorcycle, it burns less gasoline. The cars and the motorcycle drivers do this. They don't get it. They think that because they keep their lights off on their motorcycles and cars, they burn less gas. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You know, it's crazy. And what else I gotta tell you? So I've been here a year and a half, going on 2 years, and I got one more story. This is the best. This is a COVID story. So I come and I meet the foreign people. We have a little group, we have a little club. We talk the Bible, we study the Bible. We're friends of Bill W., friends of Will, friends of Bob, whatever. So I go to the meeting with all the Americans are there, mostly Americans, the guy from Denmark, Sweden, oh yeah, the Australian men are there. And I see this American guy, he's talking, and I admire him. So I get to talking to him. He's a retired politician, he's with the legislature, and I'm not even going to say what state, because I don't want the man to be embarrassed. I don't want him to know I'm talking about him. This is all between you and me, and I'm not going to mention any names. But anyway, I get to talking, and I wanted to become friendly with some American guys. And I admired him, he spoke well, he seemed intelligent, so I see him every now and then, and as time goes on, you get closer and closer. So one day, we go to the beach. And in the interim, I may have gone out for dinner with him, or for coffee or something, you know. And he's lived in Asia. He knows his way around Asia. He's lived in Thailand for like 5 or 6 years, and he just came to the Philippines. He knows his way around. So one day, first time we go to the beach, we have a Bible meeting at the beach, and he's with a young man, a handsome young man. So I think, and my friend, he's in his 70s, and he's with about a 30-year-old handsome young man, physically fit, handsome. And I think, well, maybe he's his caretaker, you know, cook a meal, clean his house. But come to find out, it's his boyfriend. He met him online on an online dating site, and he flew him in from Manila, the capital of the Philippines, to come to Dumaguete and meet, and one thing led to another, and they have lived together for maybe 2-3 years now. Now, the gist of the story, the tragedy. They both contracted COVID about 4 or 5 months ago. And the tragedy is, at least the old man is very sick. The young man, not so sick. But after 4 months, they still have it. The government goes and tests them periodically. The government went about 5 days ago, and they tested positive. And the government went yesterday, and they also tested positive. Now, the sad thing is, they are both not following government regulations. And they are contributing to people getting COVID. They are going out, they're not following the rules. They're going to the LTO, the Land Transportation Office, They're going to the shopping malls. They're going to the downtown locations. And that's the story. They are out affecting other people and spreading the disease. But on a happier note, please, 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 social distance, stay safe, wash your hands, use alcohol, and best, tell your friends and neighbors to like and subscribe. God bless, and pray that the COVID goes away. That's all for now. Bye-bye.